Elvis Presley and his vehicles. Part 8. The '54 Cadillac Tour Limousine. Elvis and the Blue Moon Boys were performing in towns all over the South each and every day in 1955. On most of the trips they drove the pink Cadillac and carried the bass on the roof. Even though the Cadillac was a full-size car, it was a bit tiny to carry the guys and instruments comfortably on long trips. In November of 1955 Elvis therefore decided to buy a 1956 Plymouth station wagon. Scotty, Bill and DJ would alternate driving the Plymouth and carry all the instruments, while Elvis and the friend he would bring, Gene Smith or Red West, would alternate driving the Cadillac just behind. In the year 1956, Elvis had gigs booked all over the United States. Since the distance they had to drive was much longer than before, Elvis decided to buy a limousine. The reason for that was so everyone in the band would fit comfortably in one car. The pink Cadillac also attracted so much attention, so a car in a neutral color would make it easier to drive in and out of towns relatively unnoticed. In early March 1956, Elvis went down to the local Cadillac dealer in Memphis, Southern Motors Incorporated, to look for a suitable car. He found a used 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood Series 75 sedan. The color of it was azure blue. The Series 75 Fleetwood was Cadillac's limited production limousine and 8-passenger sedan and featured an extended wheelbase for plenty of backseat room and a high headroom taller passenger compartment. The car's extra passenger capacity came from 2 rear-facing jump seats in the back seat footwell. Engine power in the Series 75 was a 331 cubic inch, 5.4-liter V8 that delivered 230 horsepower. It was connected to a 4-speed hydromatic drive automatic transmission. Cadillac built 889 Fleetwood Series 75 sedans in 1954 and the MSRP was $6,090. Air conditioning, which Elvis' car had, was extra. Elvis bought the 1954 Fleetwood limousine just before going on tour in early March of 1956. These photos are from that spring and Elvis had just purchased a house for him and his parents at 1034 Audubon Drive in Memphis. In this picture from 1956, Bill is leaning against the front fender of the tour limo. It's easy to see that the Cadillac is a 1954 since the parking lights are located inside the grille. On April 23 Elvis and the band performed in Las Vegas for the first time. On the way to Vegas, they stopped at Hoover Dam. In the photo to the left, Elvis is standing next to the 1954 Cadillac limo. Colonel Parker booked Elvis, Scotty, Bill and DJ for a 2-week engagement at the New Frontier Hotel in Las Vegas. While Elvis was already becoming popular with teens around the country, he was not the typical Las Vegas Strip entertainer of the time, and his shows were met with a cool reception. April 26, Elvis is showing off his Cadillac limo in Las Vegas, where he stayed until May 6. While in Las Vegas, Elvis is photographed driving a 1953 MG convertible with a tonneau cover. There is no indication that he owned this MG, so the photos were most likely for promotion or the car was a rental. In a few of the photos he is joined by a dog. May 27, 1956, Elvis and the Blue Moon Boys arrived in the 1954 Fleetwood limo in Dayton, Ohio. They were going to have 2 gigs that evening at the University of Dayton Fieldhouse. May 29, 1956, just 2 days after coming home from Dayton, Ohio. These famous photos are shot at his home at Audubon Drive. Elvis is showing off all the vehicles he owned at that time. The 1956 Harley-Davidson and his 3 Cadillacs, the pink 1955 Fleetwood 60 Special, the yellow 1954 convertible and the blue 1954 Fleetwood 75 limousine. A couple of days later, Elvis took the limo to Hollywood. He was to appear at the Milton Berle show at the Texaco Star Theater. In these photos from June 5, Elvis is leaning against the limo just outside the Knickerbocker Hotel, where he was staying. In early 1956, RCA Victor asked photographer Alfred Wertheimer to take photos of an upcoming singer named Elvis. Trailing Presley like a shadow, Wertheimer took nearly 3,000 photographs of him that year. These photos of Elvis and his parents, Vernon and Gladys, at their home on 1034 Audubon Drive in Memphis, are from the 4th of July 1956. In the first half of August 1956, Elvis and the band were on tour in Florida. Elvis drove his newly purchased 1956 Lincoln Premier and the rest of the guys in the band took the 1954 Fleetwood limo. While on tour Elvis traded his 1956 Lincoln for a 1956 Continental Mark II. September 9, 1956, Elvis riding in the back seat of the blue 1954 Fleetwood limo, headed for CBS Television City in Los Angeles to appear for the first time on The Ed Sullivan Show. Elvis on stage October 14, 1956 in San Antonio, Texas at Bexar County Coliseum. The Cadillac limo was parked next to the stage for a safe getaway after the show. October 18, 1956, Elvis waving at his fans. The Cadillac is still sporting its light blue color. In early November of 1956, Elvis had the 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood limousine repainted. Instead of light blue, he chose to repaint the car a bright canary yellow color. The reason for the repaint job was that the 1954 limo was horribly damaged by fans while Elvis and girlfriend June Juanico were at the Plaza Cinema to watch a movie on October 21. Paint was scraped, upholstery was torn and the fenders were damaged, plus hundreds of love messages written in lipstick. The next day, Elvis graciously told a newspaper that the girls did not hurt his car. The cracked windshield, nicks and other stuff happened on his Texas tour, he said. Elvis in his 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood limo at home, mid-November 1956. By February of 1957, Elvis had added a lot of landscaping to his Audubon home. In late April 1957, Elvis took the train to Los Angeles. He was going to start working on his third movie Jailhouse Rock. It was completed on June 14. During the time in L.A., he had the 1957 Cadillac Seville shipped there, like he did during the production of Loving You. Sometime in May 1957, when Elvis was out driving the Seville, he spotted the odd conveyance in a show window at an import dealer. The car which caught his attention was a little BMW Isetta 300. Elvis just went in, bought the car and drove away. It was strictly a spur-of-the-moment idea. When Jailhouse Rock was completed, Elvis rented a trailer and towed the Isetta home with the 1954 Fleetwood limo. September 1, 1957, Elvis and his bandmates performed at the Lincoln Bowl in Tacoma, Washington. The 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood limo was parked behind the stage. In the fall tour of 1957 they carried the instruments in a wooden box on the roof, as opposed to on earlier tours, where they had a roof rack with the instruments covered with a tarp. This photo from Graceland shot in the fall of 1957, give us a better view of the wooden box. In the spring of 1957 Elvis moved to Graceland. One time in the fall of 1957, the 1954 Cadillac limousine was used to haul fowl, chickens, ducks, guineas, peacocks and a turkey back to Graceland. Elvis, Lamar and Vernon drove to a farm in Germantown, just outside Memphis. With no way to actually deliver the animals back to Graceland, Elvis decided to just pack them into the limo. Lamar sat in the back of the limo with the birds to try to control them, but they flew around and made a mess. When they got home, the car had so much bird droppings in it that even after he sent it to the Cadillac dealer to be cleaned and fumigated, it was never the same again. A few weeks after that, Elvis got tired of it and just sold it off. After all, a few months earlier he had purchased a 1957 Cadillac Fleetwood Series 75 limo to replace it. It's unknown what happened to the 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood limousine after that. This black 1955 Cadillac Fleetwood Series 75 limousine has been in museums and shows since the early 90s, letting people believe it's Elvis' first limo, the one in which he and his band traveled all over the USA in 1956 and 1957. The problem with this 1955 Cadillac limo is that there are lots of photos and stories of Elvis and the Blue Moon Boys with the light blue, which was later painted yellow, 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood limo, while there are none with this black 1955. The photos of the 1954 limo range from the early spring of 1956 through September of 1957. And there is also no reason to believe that Elvis would have bought a 1955 Cadillac limo as well, but never using it. And that is it on this subject. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe, share and like this video for more episodes about Elvis's cars.